doors so Marty could find a route back to his room or a route to another floor or whatever. They had elevators and fire escapes on, in the middle they had elevators, on the side they had fire escapes. So we had lots of places we could go. And like I said, there's no cameras. So Marty would go up those doors, the women would scream and holler, and then it was just I laughed so hard I'm surprised I didn't have a heart attack. So that's something else we did. That was the second year. And then I met up with a guy from the South Bend area, Mishawaka area, that he loved pranks just as much as I did. So we got this idea, we're going to do some telephone pranks. And we had this stupid idea where I talk into this big old 32-ounce plastic cup, and I would do a voice of a turd or a piece of poop. And we would call random people, especially girls that we'd see in the phone book. In the college phone book, you could see their name, what dorm they were at, and what room number they were in. So it was just ridiculous on personal information. So we could just dial a number on our dorm phone and just pick a random name out. They'd answer the phone or not answer the phone, and we would leave messages or talk to them directly and say, "Hi, let me see if I can get a cup. Hi, I'm the turd in your toilet." And then they would, they'd most of the time hang up because they wouldn't believe it. They just couldn't believe how stupid that was. And, it actually got me and a buddy of mine dates one time doing that. But it was just stupid. They'd answer the phone. I'd say, "I'm the turd in your toilet. Come look at me." And then we'd try to convince them to see if they'd go in the bathroom and look in the toilet, see if that was what they would see. So it was just stupid stuff that we did. And we did it all the time. It was just ridiculous, some of the dumb things we did. And, oh, my gosh. That was Kevin. And Kevin did that stuff with me. Trying to think of some other stuff that we did that was really bad. I guess this is where you could just, possibly, shut the podcast off. But something else Kevin and I would do was one time, Kevin had this way of being able to get his arms. I don't know if you call that double jointness or whatever. I know I have a friend that listens to this podcast that doesn't believe that being double jointed doesn't exist, but whatever. He was very flexible, a better way to put it. But he could stick his arms in the middle of his back, like between the scapular bones where, if you're real skinny, you can pull your scapular bones out. You can see them poke out of your back. But he could stick his arms in there and look like he had no arms, and he could act like he was physically handicapped. And this is horrible. We'll probably go to hell for this one. But I would take him around and lead him around like I was a assistant of a special services person, and he was like physically handicapped, and he would drool, and I would lead him around the dorm or campus, and they thought he was like mentally disabled, and I act like I was his, whatever. But this is horrible. We never did that again. I felt so bad about that. I thought I was going to go to hell. So that was a horrible thing we did, but it was terrible what we did. It was awful. But he would drool, and I'd hit him, act like I'm hitting him, and we would fake hit, and he would go, "Ah!" And then it looked like I was abusing him, but we didn't do that very long. We probably got in a lot of trouble, but it was ridiculous. This is kind of like the precursor to Jackass, basically, the show that's on MTV, that was on MTV forever, and those movies that they did that was just ridiculous, stupid things that guys would do. It just reminds me of that before that even started. But the stupid things we do. And there'd be some effeminate-looking guys walking around the dorm parking lot. Something I would do in the morning or afternoon or morning, I'd open up my dorm windows. And we didn't have air conditioning. All we had was heat. So in the summer or the fall, it was really, really hot at the place we were at. And I would open the windows a lot in the morning, and it'd be a nice morning, and I'd see a guy look kind of effeminate, and I'd yell out the window, and this is horrible. I'd say, come back to bed, Lance, or Bruce, don't leave without kissing me. And I'd do an effeminate voice and scream it real loud, and everybody would look. I would hide you couldn't see my face, but I would yell. I'm real loud. So I'd yell it out in that effeminate voice. And it was just some of the stuff I did. That was horrible things I did. That was absolutely terrible. And that was just my second year in the dorm. And eventually, by the end of that year, we go to this condominium complex. Me and the buddies that I really, became real good friends with, we go to the condominium. So that just starts the whole thing of, we can have parties, we're free to do about everything we wanted. But I lived with this is horrible, I hope I don't get anybody in trouble, but I lived with 2 cops, okay, and 2 business majors. And I was like a whatever major. I mean, I had 50,000 majors in college, so who knows what major I was that year. Maybe it was teaching, who knows what it was. But we lived in this dorm. It was a really nice dorm. We all shared the rent, and, it was really fun. It was cool. We could do whatever we wanted. I lived with two cops, and the cops would always come and hang out with us, and a buddy cop of the Bills from Western Indiana, they would have their buddy Justin come over, and he went to another school that wasn't as big, and he was bored of that school, or he commuted, and he wanted to kind of see a college atmosphere. So he would come stay with us a lot, and he would get into crap too. He shouldn't have got into it, but he was going to be a cop too. So I had pretty much 3 cop geared college students that were trying to be in the criminology area. So, and 2 of them were cops on our campus, and they had guns. We had Glock 9s, and one guy had a Chinese assault rifle that looked it's basically like an AK-47. So, I mean, that just gave me a great idea. And this was pre-9/11. But I thought of a great idea to put a towel over my head in like a turban and put a towel around my body, a big white towel on my head, around my body. And I thought one day it'd be kind of cool to take that Chinese assault rifle. Of course, it wasn't loaded. The clip was empty. But I thought of a great idea to take that darn thing, go outside, and go la 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 la, and just blabber in like a non-distinct Arab tongue. And I would just la 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 la, and I held the Chinese assault rifle in my hand, going and I mean, this was pre. A lot of the terrorist acts that go on today, not discounting it that it's horrible, but I'm just saying, if I would have done that now at a college campus, I would have been expelled or sent to Guantanamo Bay. I mean, or, what the place is in Washington, D.C. or Virginia, and being, just pretty much interrogated or tortured. But I was just doing it as a joke, like another jackass move from like what I'm saying from the MTV show. But this stupid stuff I would do. I mean, I was just so free to do what I thought was funny, and it was just ridiculous. That was just one of the stupid things I did when we lived in the dorm. I'm trying to think of something else we did when we lived in the dorm. We would torture one of our roommates. We had a roommate named Bill, another roommate named Bill. The one Bill went to the same high school as the other Bill. And the business major Bill was real, slight of build. He was skinny, wasn't very strong, really nice kid, really nice guy, good friend of mine even to this day. And he was a little bit weaker than some of us in the condo. And Bill, his friend from school, was real strong, kind of the good, probably a 3-sport jock in high school, and good friend of mine. And we just got these ideas. For some reason, I don't know how we got to this point, that we'd look at each other in the dorm, and we'd all be hanging out watching TV, and we'd just give each other this look, and then we'd just terrorize one of our roommates. And Bill was usually the target of a lot of this. So one time we're just sitting in the dorm room or the condominium living room, and Bill and I, and maybe Fritz, another roommate of mine, we just run and go grab Bill, the skinny Bill, and we'd take him, tickle him to death till almost pee his pants, hold his arms down. We threw honey on him one time. We powdered him with flour or what else to mix with the syrup or the honey that we put on him. And we would just torture this guy and terrorize him. And he was a good friend of ours. It was just horrible things we did. It was awful. And we would, they'd do it to me, and I forget what they did to me, but, some of us were a little stronger than others, so I kind of could the big Bill and I could probably get away from some of these attacks, but because the little Bill didn't quite like to do that kind of stuff. So that's just one thing I remember us doing. And one time we went to New Orleans for spring break in Panama City Beach. Went to Panama City Beach, and we didn't do a whole lot, of mean pranks on our roommates. But then we got to New Orleans, and then we decided to take Bill's clothes, take him off of him, and throw him in the pool. And this is like 3 or 4 in the morning at a hotel that wasn't in a very good part of town in New Orleans. So it was kind of scary to be doing this. But we took Bill's clothes off, threw him in the pool, and then threw him in the pool. And it was awful. And he was laughing. He couldn't stop us, and he just got a kick out of it. We were mean as hell to him and when we would pick on him. But, he's a great guy, and I couldn't believe the stuff that we did to him. That was one thing we did in the dorm. I'm trying to think of anything. Oh, something else. Justin, the guy that would come from that other school, he would stay with us on weekends. He found these plans to build a potato gun. If anybody doesn't know what a potato gun is, it's a large white PVC pipe, apparatus that's constructed to shoot fruit, round objects out of this big PVC pipe. It might be, 4 or 5 inch, 6 inch PVC, plastic PVC white pipe. And so there's a way to make it so the end of it, you make this compartment with a little bit of, just a little bit of opening enough just to propel the fruit from the bottom. It's built like kind of like a cannon or a bazooka, but it's the concept is we would spray hairspray in this little inlet hole in the end of the potato gun. And I wish I could explain it better, but you could probably look it up on the internet and see what one is. But this guy brought it from where he was from, and I was like, this is the neatest thing in the world. And Justin and I really got a kick out of this. And my other roommates did too, but I was always into a new gag or doing something stupid. So we get this potato gun, and we get it set up, and it's the neatest thing in the world. And he lights this. There's even a like the part of the lighter with the flint is you could take one off a lighter and set it up and screw it into the PVC pipe and just flick it just like a lighter, and it just create a spark, and all that hairspray that was in that compartment just combusts in a small area and just makes this explosion or just this gas, whatever you call it, and it would propel the fruit like a potato or an apple or an orange and just shoot that thing so darn hard and fast out of that you couldn't even hardly see it. And it would shoot for, 600 to 700, 800, 900, 1,000 feet away from the potato gun, maybe even farther. We could shoot from our condominium. We could shoot a trailer court that was near the football stadium. We couldn't even see the trailer court from where we lived. We could see bits and pieces of the roof, some of the roofs of the trailer court, but we could shoot it at the trailer court roofs, the 10 roofs that they had, and we could hear it go clang, clang, just far away. And we could shoot it, and no one could ever figure out where it came from. And then we'd hurry up, scurry down, hide it in the basement, and there you go. We'd do about 4 or 5 of them when we get an ocean too. And that's really illegal. And my roommates are cops. I'm surprised they didn't get in trouble. I'm surprised we didn't get in trouble. But, a bunch of young guys in their low 20s, high teens with no supervision, you're going to do crazy crap. And I tell you what, I love that potato gun. If I could have took it home with me, I would have, because it was the neatest, but probably one of the most dangerous things I probably ever messed with in college. So we got a kick out of doing that stuff too. So those are just some